Quite a few people have asked me why I started Edward Christopher. Why did I get into the watch industry and start a watch brand? Well, there's a commercial reason, there's a charitable reason, but also, which not many people know, there's a very personal, poignantly personal reason. So I started Edward Christopher for two principal reasons, one commercial, the other charitable. Now, commercially, I've always had a lifelong love of watches, but I struggle to find watches, premium watches and luxury watches that did enough justice to color. There are far too many muted tones. It's all very, design-wise, a little bit funereal. And I wanted a bit of color in my life when I wear a watch. And you might, with some of the nicer watches, get a sort of dash there, a dibble here, and a splash somewhere where you least expect it. Obviously, these are technical watch terms. The other key reason for starting Edward Christopher was a charitable one, because we're donating 10% of our profits to charities helping children and young people in need around the world. So why children and young people? Well, I've always been involved with charity work for children and young people. I've raised money for children's charities. Every sort of event I've done or expedition I went on or challenge I did, whether it's cycling from Land's End to John O'Groats, going mountaineering expeditions, doing all sorts of capers to raise money for children and young people in need. The only time I didn't was when I raised money for pancreatic cancer research after my father died from pancreatic cancer, and I nursed him through it. And I know how brutal, especially pancreatic cancer, can be. But every other time I've raised money for children's charities. Now, I'm not sure about you, but I've met quite a few people who say, one day, certainly when I've retired, I'm going to contribute, which sounds great. Dinner parties, that's if you're invited to them, if you say things like that in that way. But the reality is that very few people do anything about it. It sounds good, but the reality is it doesn't happen. So I thought, why not start a business that combines the commercial element and creative element, namely producing very distinctive and mesmerizing and colorful versions of a product you love, namely watches, with something charitable, so you can contribute to causes that you care about, that mean something to you and to our customers. Because Edward Christopher is, after all, for sophisticated men and women with kind hearts. People who appreciate quality, distinctive, mesmerizing, colorful quality watches, but also feel good because they contribute to causes that mean something to them and do so much good to children and young people in need around the world. Because when you invest in Edward Christopher watch, you also invest in the life of a child and a young person who needs your support. So what prompted this? Well, I've always worked with children's charities. I've worked with young criminals. I've, in my spare time, armed robbers who are in their teens and stuff like that, and people guilty of grievous bodily harm and all sorts of serious offences, which is challenging but rewarding work. But there's a more personal and poignant reason. And that is, I always wanted to be a father. Not for familial or societal expectations or reasons, because I love kids. I really wanted to be a dad. And I was very realistic about the often charming but challenging realities of being a parent. And the closest I got was a rather late miscarriage, and which had a huge effect on me. Now, I don't want to see it as a regret not having children, but it will, when my time comes to leave this earth, it will make me sad. And you make the best of the situation you're in. So I've got three gorgeous nephews. I've been very involved with their lives, from changing their nappies to doing their homework, standing on a freezing rugby pitch, watching them play rugby, listening to their problems. And of course, on those rare occasions where they're a little bit too naughty, I might have to have a quiet word. And I'm still very much involved in their lives and always will be. And as I've told them, I'm there to support them, encourage them and protect them as and when they need it. And there's a great love and adoration between me and my three nephews. It's not quite the same as having your own kids, but it's as close as. And for that, I'm very grateful. But I thought, how can I take that further? And so Edward Christopher, in a way, is an opportunity for me through the business to be a father figure to those children, young people who really need it. Those children who are bullied, those young people from challenging backgrounds who would otherwise have no or very little opportunity in life, to help them to live, learn and earn, to make something of life, to have opportunities in their work life, their personal life, their emotional life, and so many other spheres of their lives, to give them a life they wouldn't otherwise have. The same with bullied children. And so the mission of Edward Christopher is to help 1 million plus children and young people like this to lead better lives. And this is a great driving force. So that is one of the main reasons, and a key, and yeah, a very emotional reason for starting Edward Christopher.